Well, the second sort of health indicator, and again, you're very well aware of this, is making sure that you sort of understand for whom the urban lifestyle appeals, and to provide the various amenities. Thank you very much. Provide the various amenities that those folks, those urbans, as a friend of mine in Detroit calls them, those urbans require. Right? Boston, actually, just to kind of brag about it for a second, figured it out a bit early, actually, maybe as early as you all here in Chattanooga. For instance, again, thinking about the kind of the halfway houses for recovering suburbanites, Boston took what was a very decrepit, abandoned a port. Of course, things went elsewhere, and started to kind of do three things: make it public, and then three ways. By creating lots of open space at the water's edge, in our case an ocean, in your case rivers, by putting institutions. This was kind of the first of the kind of big glass tank aquaria in Boston for the late 1960s, and of course reusing old abandoned warehouses and factories and so forth, and depots into housing. Those things, those are old warehouses. Those are one of the most expensive places to live in Boston right now. Millions of dollars. I certainly could not afford that. But the combination of making formerly inaccessible areas public, which of course are treasured by Americans, near open space, making them for residences, even more so than for jobs that might not even come back or be attracted back, and creating a substantial amount of public open space there, began to be a formula, and you've used it as well, to sort of turn backs to fronts. You know, rivers and other such bodies of water were once kind of working areas, and the cities turned their backs to them. That was a place for labor, not for life. Well, of course, those places are now for life. Labor is elsewhere. And so the ability to kind of turn yourself inside out as a city begins to be a very common device to reattract people to enjoy the benefits of living in urban America. There's also, of course, the issue about trying to what some people call the creative class and some people call by various other names, the idea about trying to attract the various new industries that treasure and bank upon interaction and interdisciplinarity. In the case of Boston, of course, our biotech cluster is very important to us, and we try very hard to make sure that we deal well with it and organize it, and organize transit to serve it, and provide new spaces for it. So again, to be mindful of kind of the healthy cities, it's not that jobs aren't important, it's to think about which sectors you can attract and love in the process of embracing them and providing the amenities that they desire beyond the workplace itself. Now, what are the challenges there? Well, of course, understanding, identifying, and responding to those who are urban-minded, not hardly everyone in the country, attract as businesses that flourish through the exchange with sort of kindred industries. Of course, investing in various forms of alternate energy, which I'll get in a second, and so forth. So again, many challenges, and yet it is important for the health of cities to identify those who are urban-minded, and there are more of those folks out there now than certainly there were a decade or two or three or four ago. But make sure you don't just attract a particular kind of individual. So here's, I think, a terrible cartoon, but it happens to have a ring of truth about it. So let's read it together. Whites live in cities, the crowning glory of civilization, certainly Manhattan or Shanghai or Seoul and so forth. Minorities move into cities. Hello, goodbye. You know who says that? Whites flee cities to suburbs, and they say, it's better. Of course, yes, it's life by the acre. Whites move into second-ring suburbs. Cities are dead, as President Ford said. This is better still. Minorities move into first-ring suburbs. This is better, I guess, they say. And then the punchline, whites move back into cities and say it worked, right? And then the little fellow down there says, the vast white ring conspiracy. Now, you're not laughing. It's not actually funny. And one of the problems with our return of interest in cities is making sure that they are available still to many, as opposed to a particular segment of the population. A brilliant, brilliant cartoon of some cities that have invested substantially into kind of very high-end, either jobs or housing, and therefore, in fact, have made it more difficult for those people who sustained the cities for decades priorly from being able to stay there in these new fabulous loft buildings.